Hi guys, so unfortunately I had to have a little last minute change of plans. So I was going to use my camera, but it's not letting me do that, so that's fun. So I'll just have to use my laptop camera, which is not as good, and I can't really get the angle I want, which is not really fun. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to leave the stream for a little bit to hopefully get some people in. I'll just try a couple of different angles for the camera. Ooh. So I'm going to get, there we go. Oh, I had such a good angle with my phone, but yeah, it's not going to let me do it. So I'm just going to start off with getting myself bodily prepared. So I've got some, it's just standard blue, like body paint. So I'm just going to be putting some symbols on my hands and probably some on my face as well. So I've got some water and I've got a paintbrush. So I have used this before and it worked pretty well. So it's been a while since I last used it though. Okay, so I'll see if it's going on okay. Oh, that's very, I can always go over again, so I'll just put a little bit on as a starting layer. So I'm just going to do a Triskella. You can see the start of the Triskella starting to form. Yeah, it's very faint now, but hopefully I'll be able to build it up. Ooh. So the time right now is 5:04. Sunset here is 4:46. So when 4:46 hits, I will start the ritual. Okay, so I can't do Triskellas extremely well. So they always come out a little bit lopsided, but I think that looks okay, you know. So now hopefully I'll just be able to build up. Try and get more on my brush. It doesn't, unfortunately, it looks very dark, but you can see once you add water to it, it goes quite pale. So yeah, it's not perfect. Oof. See, if I put my hand there, it's just directly over the candle. Okay, it is, you can see there that it is darker when I'm reapplying it, so that's good. I bet you the second that I touch something, it will wash off. Okay, so the plan for the live stream today is sort of do some preparation, this sort of thing, do the ritual. We'll tell some stories about Calan Gaeaf in general, but also Gwyn. Oh, there we go. That's much better. Yeah, it looks actually in the video. It looks much sort of stronger than it is, so that's good. Gwyn, who will be honouring, got a selection of things to give as offerings to the gods. I've got this for Gwyn, which is a, God, I'm trying to hold it so you can see it. It's like an antlered god pendant. It doesn't look exactly like Gwyn because it's got like a deer head, whereas he should have a human head and antlers. I've also got some ragwort for Belle. the sun god, whose season is coming to an end, and also a woven little turnip that I've made, and I'm going to give that to Creddalad, who is Gwyn's wife, and sort of an important goddess for this time of year. She's somewhat similar to Persephone in Greek mythology, but it is different. Like, it's broadly connected to the sort of ideas behind Hades and Persephone, but it is fairly different. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Triskel on both hands. On this hand, I'm also going to do a sun symbol for Belle. On this hand, I'll do symbol for Cray the lad. She has a few symbols that you can sort of do. And on my face, I'll do a few curvilinear designs, and I'll also do like a symbol for Gwyn. So obviously the sun is pretty easy. Try and keep everything using curved lines, just because that was particularly used in the Iron Age, which is really impressive considering the tools that they had available to make stuff. Okay, this isn't coming out super well, but let's just, okay, I'm going to have to do some straight lines here for the rays of the sun, but I'm sure that that's okay. And if you want to ask me anything at any point, obviously you can do, please do. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Okay. I'm hoping to repeat the ritual later this evening. Okay, sweet. Also, hi Harry, I know that you said you commented on my post that you're hoping to make it, so I'm glad to see you. So yeah, this is the sun. You can see I'm sort of like curved around the centre. Yeah, the ritual itself is pretty easy. My own rituals themselves aren't very complex, mostly due to resources, but also like I don't see the point of doing very complex, obscure rituals. Rituals were done with what was at hand. It was a celebration of what was available, so it seems against the spirit of it to make them unnecessarily complicated. I'm very new to Druidry. How long have you been practicing or like researching about it? I mean, I've been involved in Druidry for a couple of years, but in saying that, I haven't been like actively practicing a lot of the time. I'm really trying now to do a lot more practicing. Okay, so there we go. Okay, now I'm going to have to switch to using my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand. So we're going to have to see how I do. Okay. I need this, yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's a good thing to like build up. You know, you don't have to. I think it can be a bit worrying. You feel like you should be doing everything when you get into something new like Druidry. It's like, oh, I should do everything I can to improve, or like I should be doing all of this stuff. And it's like, you know, it takes a while to get used to it. This is the first time that I'm really doing a big ritual. Usually my rituals are pretty small and they're just me. So yeah, this is pretty new for me. Oh, this is too watery. Okay. Of course, you know, back in the day you'd have people would have decorated each other. So it's quite unusual. I mean, this was a choice for me to try and do it myself, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's hard enough to try to do to Scala with my dominant hand, so that's what I've got so far. Just a big S. Okay. Oh, I need to go the other way. That's why. Oh no! Oh, this is. Okay. I think it could have gone a lot worse. Could have gone a lot worse. I'm just thinking what I can do for Cray the Lad. There's not a lot of sources for Cray the Lad. I have postulated that she could be connected, she could be utilized as a weaving goddess. There's not really any extant information about a weaving goddess, but considering the role in which it played in the Iron Age, I think it's highly likely there would have been a weaving goddess, at least in some communities. And some people think that her father in the mythology that we have is Lludd, which a lot of people interpret it as being a cognate of Nuth, or Neith, sorry, Lludd, who is Gwyn's father. So therefore, she's Gwyn's sister, which she's also his wife. So that's a bit troubling. In the extant myth, that connection isn't made, and to be honest, I connect to more. I think that you can make an equally good case for Lludd being a cognate of Llew. Also means that they don't that they're not incestuously connected, Gwyn and Claire the Lad. There we go. And because Llew is god of a number of things, but one of them is crafts, you can then extend that to she's his daughter. I think there's a reasonable argument for viewing her as a goddess of weaving, and that's certainly how I view her. So obviously a symbol for weaving would be like a loom, which I don't know how great I'm going to be able to do that symbolically on myself. I could also do any sort of work with yarn, and I do a lot of knitting and stuff like that. So maybe I'll do a drop spindle actually. So drop spindle would have been used to spin the yarn, obviously, before you had spinning wheels. So a drop spindle was try to think of how I'm going to be able to paint it on my non-dominant hand. So a drop spindle would be like I'll use my stick of incense. That's not great. Okay, the incense. So drop spindle you'd have like this, and you'd have the wool like all gathered around one end, and then you would hang the piece of wool and you'd have a weight at the end, and you'd slowly then stretch out the yarn and create a skein from that. So let's see if I can draw a reasonable drop spindle using my left hand, which I'm not very good at. So here we go. Okay, so just downward line for the staff, the distaff. There we go, I managed to do that. Let's do the, doesn't need to be super accurate, and I will go over it again because its first layer isn't especially clear. So you can kind of see the wool gathered around it, and then I'll just do a little strand of wool coming down. It's being spun. God, I just can't do thin lines with my. Okay, and so then you'd have the little weight here at the end gathering. Luckily, Cray the lad is very merciful, so I hope that she'll forgive. Yeah, it's not very good sinful, particularly compared to the other ones. Oh, I'm sorry, Cray the lad. Maybe I'll sort of make this more circular. That'll look better. Should really have this bit tapering down, but it's non-dominant hand. It's not going to work. So I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to say that's as good as a drop spindle as I'm going to get. So last thing I'm going to do. Obviously, if you want to do this yourself, you can do as much as you want. I'm just not especially good at drawing stuff, particularly not on me. So I'm now going to do my face. So I might have to end up using my webcam to do it. So yeah, you'd have like, let's do a few little like curvilinear designs. So, oh God, right in front of it. I'm going to move this candle for now. So we sort of have again, I can go over these because the first layer is pretty thin. And obviously, yeah, you can go as crazy as you want really with these. The only stipulation I'd say is try to keep the lines as curved as you can, because that was really important within Iron Age art in Europe. A lot of curved lines. If you want to be authentically druidic, then no pentagrams. Nothing wrong with the pentagrams, just not druidic. Also trying to, I see a lot of stuff of like short, sharp sort of like lines. I don't think that's really I don't know how accurate it is. And also I think there was a difference between spiritual sort of facial markings, like facial decoration, and war markings. They were connected. Like there were gods of battle, and there were like religious ceremonies concerning battle, but they weren't necessarily the same thing. Obviously, I'm sure that other people will be able to do a much better job than me. I'm not an artist, so. Oh, thank you for the like, whoever liked it. I'm just glad I've got some people watching. That's nice. I'm completely by myself. Obviously, if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask. Oh, that one turned out kind of good. I don't know, it's a bit difficult to tell without my glasses on. And again, doesn't have to be symmetrical. Symmetry was important, but like, I'm not going to be able to symmetry. That's really good, actually. I wish I'd done that with the rest of my face. But you know, do your best. Yeah, so just for a rundown of the evening, if you are just joining, we're going to just prepare for or the next 20 minutes or so. Sunset here is at 4:46. So once that hits, then we will do a little ritual and we'll get some things in sacrifice. And after that, I'll tell some stories. I can answer any questions. I can do some prayers, whatever you want, really. And we'll also sort of share a feast together, whether you have something to eat or not. There, that's all right. Again, not an artist, so I'm sure that other people could do a much better job than me. But I also don't think that Druidry and paganism and ritual in general is about aesthetics. And I think that that's unfortunately a thing, because I do a lot of stuff on Instagram and so on. And I don't have a problem with Instagram. I think it's a really good tool. And I love seeing very aesthetic things. But I think that a lot of people feel that a lot of people are attracted to sort of, oh, thanks very much, Faith. Okay, I think a lot of people are sometimes attracted to stuff just because it looks aesthetically pleasing, and that's a decent reason. It's not a bad reason, but there should be more than that. Okay, I'm gonna do a thing down my nose as well. Sorry about the light as well because I keep moving my hand. There we go. And again, yeah, just do whatever you want to do. Okay, now so we've got the Triskala, which is sacred symbols. Yes. Oh, looks lovely. Oh, thank you. If you're referring to mine, then thank you. Not an artist. Okay, so we've got a sun for Bell. We've got a not very good, I'm so sorry, Cray the Lad, drop spindle for Cray the Lad. And now we've got the most important symbol to do, actually, was it? Want to tell the light? No, I think it is. It's fine. I'm going to do a symbol for Gwyn Apneath, who is the main god that we're going to be celebrating. Okay, so he has a human face and he has antlers, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little human face. Generally, it's just going to be like a little silhouette. There we go, that'll do. I don't want to do anything. I certainly wouldn't try to depict Gwyn. Okay, so now there. Okay. I see some amazing artwork of Gwyn, different antlers. If you know the Gunderstruck cauldron, you've seen that with the seated antlered god, with he's got a torque in one hand, which is like a circular necklace, and a snake in the other. That is generally understood to be Canonos, who is the pan-Celtic god that Gwyn comes from. So Gwyn is like the Welsh iteration of Canonos. See a lot of people wearing antlers and stuff, and I do think they look really cool. I'm just cautious of wearing them, particularly for a ritual centered around Gwyn, because it's Gwyn should be the I don't know, it feels a little bit heretical to me. I mean, a lot of people would be like, oh well, you can interpret Druidry the way you want, and it's like, well, yeah, you can do that, but I'm a reconstructionist, so that's generally not how I do things. Oh, see, I've got this in the way. I think I can just lick it off. Yeah, look, it's fine. I'll draw it back in. That'll do. Okay. There's also debate, and some people think that the ancient Iron Age Britons would see, look, it comes out differently, but that's fine. That the Iron Age Britons tattooed themselves. Archaeologically, there's not a huge amount of evidence for that, but there's loads of evidence, you know, like in some areas, archaeological evidence isn't that great. So it's like, what's it? Absence of proof is not proof of absence. So just because we can't find things like, you know, specific needles for tattooing doesn't mean they didn't have them. But and they could have just used like normal needles and just used dye to do it. I'm going to try and do a little, tiny little Triskella in the middle between the antlers. But I personally think that they would have painted themselves. Romans are just like, and a lot of the sources for it come from Rome, which like, yeah, first of all, the Romans are not a good source in general. They didn't understand the Iron Age Britain, so they didn't really want to. They were obviously biased in what they were like, what they recorded and why they recorded it. God, this is incredible. Maybe I won't put Triskella, maybe I'll just leave it. I just want to put something there. Maybe I'll put, it's the new moon tonight, so seeing as then is no moon god, some people tell you that Alianrod is the Celtic moon goddess. It's not true. There is no moon goddess or god. There is no deity connected to the moon. The Iron Age Britons. There we go. I kind of wanted to put some more on my rest. We've got about 15 minutes. So please let me know if you have any questions regarding anything, regarding Druidry, regarding the gods, regarding Calan Gaeaf, regarding the ritual tonight, anything. The Iron Age. If you don't know who I am, then my name is Kathy or Catherine. I am a Celtic Reconstructionist Druid. I have a master's degree in early Celtic studies, so I specifically focused on Iron Age Britain, particularly in Iron Age Wales, because I live in Wales and I'm very passionate about living in Wales. Unfortunately, I do not have a lovely Welsh accent because I grew up over the border in England, which, you know, unfortunately I couldn't do anything about until I moved to Cardiff. Yeah, I live in Cardiff now. I also focused on mythology, particularly, well, Celtic mythology in general, but particularly women in Celtic mythology. I particularly, again, I'm more knowledgeable about Welsh mythology. I do know a little bit about Irish. Yeah, I looked a lot about gender in the Iron Age. The sort of the roles in which the women interact in the mythology, stuff like that, which is really interesting. I also looked at Boudica quite a bit. Boudica is very interesting. There's not actually a lot of evidence that she was a warrior. I personally don't think so. Queen, yes. Warrior, no. She certainly led an army, but and I do think that there were absolutely female warriors. There's plenty of archaeological proof of that. Well, plenty. There's a decent amount. is the issue with trying to look at gender in the Iron Age is it's really difficult because you've only got like archaeological proof, right? I'm not going to try and do anything else on this arm because I already didn't do a great job on my hands. So okay, the rest of it looks pretty good though. I'm pretty pleased with that. Kind of want to give myself a little Iron Age moustache, but no. That was pretty typical in the Iron Age. Like lots of men seem to have worn had like a thick moustache. Rest of their face seems to have been clean shaved, and their hair would have been short. There seems to be fairly decent evidence that when you came of age as a man, the head, or like not the head of the family necessarily, but like the top ranking male in your family, usually it would have probably been your grandfather, maybe your father, maybe an uncle, would have cut your hair, and it was a sign that you were no longer a child. In general, I think there's pretty decent evidence that children weren't, and this is pretty, you can see this in a lot of cultures around the world, is that like children in general are kind of non-gendered a lot of the time. They just sort of like exist as children, and obviously if they live to reach puberty, then that is a huge bonus. And then whether they, what they sort of do from there. The Romans were noted; they're actually a good source of this. Were noted that Iron Age societies seem to be pretty egalitarian. There were roles that more women tended to do, and there were roles that more men tended to do. But there was a good amount of crossover. Women were not averse to fighting, and like the Romans note this because they were terrified of that. That's like, queens ruling. I would argue like female chieftains, people like that, were not uncommon. And the Romans, Roman women had like, no power, so they were very threatened by it. Okay, I'm going to quickly show you. I originally had a completely different camera setup, but YouTube is not letting me show it. So I'll just quickly show you all. Oh, where's that? I've got a lovely little altar set up, and now I can't use it. So we've got a lit candle, which we'll get to when the time comes to the ritual. I've got another candle, I've got an incense burner over there. I've got my cauldron, I've got some love spoons, I've got all my shells and so on. So we'll get to those. What's the time now? Okay, we've got 10 minutes. I'm just going to plug my laptop in if I can. Of course, the cable is very short. I was going to just use my laptop to be able to check on the chat and use my phone camera, but I'm not allowed. I think you can only do it if you're like... Okay, that'll just have to do. Oh God, I can see my clothesline. And obviously, ideally, you'd be able to do this outside, but it's currently outside and I need to be able to light candles obviously as well. Ideally you wouldn't have candles, but you would have like fire. You'd have 2 bonfires, but also I cannot do that. So video to finish watching later. All the fascinating information. Oh, thank you. I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, we've got 10 minutes. I'm so sorry, Cray the Lad. Luckily, Cray the Lad is known as Cray the Lad the Magnanimous, so hopefully she will forgive me. And she's also a goddess that is very rarely honoured now. A lot of people don't honour her, and it's like Cray the Lad is an important person, particularly this time of year, to honour and remember. So I'm actually writing a novel that is like a retelling of Gwyn and Cray the Lad, like a romance. So I particularly have a lot of feelings about her. Oh, my cauldron is full of water, so it's just tap water. I think a lot of people feel that you've got to, there's a lot of stuff like use fresh spring water, use rainwater, and it's like, well, you can use those things if you want, but tap water is equally good. The most important thing is that it's clean water, and this is water that is treated here in the UK. It's, I think in some areas, like it's not. You can have water that comes out of the taps that is just below like par for human consumption or something like that. But we get our water treated very well. And people in the Iron Age would absolutely have loved to have had access to just normal drinking water. Water was, a very important source for them, and they had springs and so on, which were usually sacred because clean water was so important. So I think that some people feel that it's not like special or magical enough, and it's like it's fine. You can use spring water if you want. You can use fresh rainwater, but actually that's more likely to be polluted than tap water. So as long as it's clean, then it's fine. So I've got that. We've got a little bit of ragwort growing outside in our very unkempt garden. So I have some ragwort. And I have, oh Lord, I'm sorry, Gwyn. So I'm just putting my fingers in the paint. I also have this. It's a pendant that I got at the Witchcraft Museum in Boscastle in Cornwall a couple of years ago, which is really nice. So this is a representation of Gwyn. Well, it's a representation of the horned god, and which stems from belief in Cenonos or Gwyn. It's not quite accurate in that this has a deer face and Gwyn has a human face, but he does have antlers. So I hope that Gwyn will accept that. And I also have this really cute little crocheted pumpkin. Well, no, it's crocheted turnip. Sorry. And I do have a turnip, which I think I'm going to be carving later. Turnips were like the precursor to pumpkins here. Obviously, we don't have pumpkins growing naturally in the UK. And those were carved into faces and decorated. So this will be because I made it, and it is made from wool. I'm going to be giving it to Cleatherlad as a goddess of weaving. So we've got 5 minutes. If anyone also has any prayers that you'd like me to offer up, then I'm happy to do that during the ceremony or afterwards, whatever. I'm happy to do it. But I mean, the rituals I try to sort of follow as much as possible, any sort of framework that is historically accurate, but things like the words that they used, we just don't have access to stuff like that. So the words are my own design. If you want to use them or something similar, you can. If you want to change them a little bit, then absolutely do it. Use it for you. Practice is also like just ever growing based on, what information we have, what new things we learn about the Iron Age and about Druidry. So it's absolutely not like a fixed thing. And because it was passed down through oral tradition as well, it's good evidence that it wasn't considered a fixed thing, in that writing actually had a really important role in the Iron Age. And it was like if you wrote something down, you were committing it into being. So writing's hardly ever done. And also people would have been mostly illiterate. The average person in the Iron Age would not have been able to read or write. In terms of written script, they didn't have their own script. Some people say Ogham. Ogham didn't come about until the Dark Ages. So a couple of centuries after the end of the Iron Age. So they used Greek script, which I can write actually. I learned Koine Greek, like common Greek, when I was doing my BA in theology. I read the Bible in Greek. It's very interesting. It's when I used to be a Christian. So I will do a video at some point actually about how I converted. I mean, it was more like just a transition into Druidry. I had an ill feeling towards Christianity, but then I came from a really relaxed background. I came from like a really liberal Church of England setting. So it, you know, my experience of Christianity was luckily very kind of kind and accepting. Obviously, not everyone has that experience, unfortunately. Okay, so we're 2 minutes away now. So unfortunately, I'll try and lift everything up to show it to the camera, to show what I'm doing. Because I did originally have my camera up over there, and I could just do everything, but I can't do that now. Should I put my glasses on? I probably should, because then I can see. So I'm trying to get my hair off my face as well. So in terms of preparing yourself, before I did this, when I filled my cauldron up with water, I washed my hands. I also had a shower earlier so that I was physically clean. You know, I'm going to just bring the curtain across. There we go. That should help the light. So yeah, try to obviously make yourself physically clean. You don't have to do anything special, just normal, you know, soap, water. They used soap in the Iron Age, so, you know, I'll take my glasses off. I just don't like how I look in them. And my laptop is close enough that I can see. If you don't mind, please, if I can open prayer. No problem, Faith. I will say a prayer for them. Okay, so we're nearly there, nearly at, I mean, I know you can see the light behind me, but the sun does set at 4:46. I also have someone to pray for who is unfortunately like coming close to the end. They have cancer. They've had it for a few years, and yeah, unfortunately, their wife asked people to hold him in their prayers, so I'll say a prayer for him. Okay, it's 4:46. The sun has set here in Cardiff, so it is now Nos Calan Gaeaf, Nos Calan Gaeaf, which is the night. Calan, it means festival. Gaeaf is winter. So this is now the start of winter. Summer has ended. We're now into a different realm. So I will take this candle, which is the representative of summer. Summer is Bel's season. Great Bel, he who draws the sun across the sky in his chariot, I thank you for the summer, for your sunlight that nourished us. Especially in this difficult time, I thank you for all of the light that you could leave within our lives. Now, the summer is gone, and it will not return for the next 6 months. So I take the flame of summer and I pass it to the flame of winter. Cray the lad, the summer goddess, who stays within the god's realm during the hot summer. And it's gone out. Is it? I ask that you look upon this incense, and with your own sweetness, bless the winter ahead when you go with your husband Gwyn to Anon, the realm of the dead, for half the year. With this candle, I call upon Gwyn ap Neath, he who is closest to all of humanity. Gwyn, great psychopomp, who leads us from this life into the next, into Anon, the realm of the dead. You are abroad tonight, and I ask that you treat us kindly, that you look with mercy upon us, that you and your great hands, the Cwn Anon, ride past us peacefully, that you do not take our souls into the next life quite yet. Try and put it back on the stand. There. With these two flames, with summer and with winter, and this night when the change passes through, I'll pass my hands between the two seasons, to cleanse as my ancestors cleansed their castle, running between two bonfires. I hope that the gods will forgive me for not having the resources to completely recreate such an event. But I ask that all within our community, whether that is here in Cymru or whether it's further abroad, anyone that we can reach through the use of the internet, I ask that they are sheltered this winter, that we can come together in this time of great testing, in this time when, now more than ever, we have to ask the gods to have mercy upon us. For Bel, whose season is dying, I give to you this groundsel, grown within my garden. I ask that as I tear it, Bel will accept all that we have done in the summer, and that he will bless us once again when next summer comes. For the sweet, magnanimous Cray the lad. And finally, for Gwyn ap Neath, the white son of Neath, I thank you for your continuing presence within my life and of all of those around me. I ask in particular that you look upon Ian King, who has struggled for so long. Please comfort him swiftly and without pain, that he can pass from this life into the next. And I ask that you look with kindness upon Faith and her children. I know that so often, Gwyn, you are depicted as someone who is cruel, a god who is fearsome, but I know also that you are merciful and kind, and that for many, death is a release from the pains and imperfections of our mortal lives. I hope that this winter, when there is so much death around us, that you will help those who are in such great suffering and not come for as many as you can. These gifts I give in the manner of my ancestors long gone, and on this night, on Nos Calan Gaeaf, I ask that the spirits of the ancestors look kindly upon us. The ancestors who roam tonight, the Ysbrodion, the spirits of the dead, I ask that instead of tormenting or from being shunned by people, I ask that you join us here. There will be a place laid at my table for you. Because a fear of spirits is fear of death. And death is not the end. It's just the next stage between one life and the next. So that's it. That's the end of the ritual. I'll just show you the what my altar looks like. So as I tore the things up, I put it into the cauldron. So I wasn't able to tear up the woven turnip or the pendant, but I hope that that is going to be acceptable. Thank you. Oh, no problem, Faith. I hope that it's helpful for you. So yeah, so that's the most religious part, the night done. So traditionally, they would have gathered cattle. Sorry, wait a second. I'm just trying to sort out my laptop. So they would have run cattle between the fires because they would have been bringing them in for winter. Not a problem, Harry. I'm glad that you could join me. And that would bless them then for the winter. They would also slaughtered quite a decent amount of them. So that's as much as I can sort of recreate as possible. And then they would have then had a big feast. So we're going to do that. I've got some beef stew, which is nearly ready. You can see the recipe for it on my website if you want to make it. It's a really nice beef stew for winter. I'm sorry, burping over here. And again, like you can see that when I do my rituals, sometimes things go a little bit wrong. It's fine. It's okay. You don't have to fear saying something a bit wrong, or as long as your intent is to honor the gods and to respect the gods, then it's fine. You don't need to be scared of it. I would honestly encourage you to just try it. Yeah, there's so much goes on Calan Gaeaf, so I'm struggling to sort of tell you what which things to talk about first, I guess. So I mentioned the Ysbrodion, so those are spirits of the dead. As with a lot of cultures, I know that obviously there's Dios de los Muertos in Mexico and Southern America. There's lots of iterations of All Souls Day across many cultures. So that is one of the things that happens tonight. So I will be setting out a plate for the ancestors, and ancestors as well are not like necessarily your direct ancestors, but also people from like your community. So yeah, I'm going to be welcoming them. I've just got this incense is just blowing directly into my face, which maybe Cray the lad doing that to me. So yeah, it's going to be literally ready in like a minute. So I'm going to run and get this my beef stew. So I'm just going to push these things not to the side, but out of the way, so that I can then have some food. It's like, I was gonna say it's like a little bit like a mukbang, but it's not like a mukbang in that I'm going to be eating a normal amount of food. I absolutely cannot eat a large amount of food. I just can't do it. I have a tiny little bird person appetite. Oh god, this candle is really freaking hot. I'll just move these over here, and I'll keep those burning for the length of the celebration. And yeah, in terms of what to do with your cauldron, also you don't need a cauldron to be able to do that. You can use a bowl. It's absolutely fine. Don't be careful of stuff that is like you have to buy all of this stuff to do rituals. You don't need to do it. You can do it if you want to. This cauldron is actually a present for a friend, so I like being able to use it. But oh, actually, oh god, it's just blowing in my face. Yeah, my stew isn't ready for a couple of minutes actually, because it's not going to be ready at 5. I'll hear it beeping. I'm in my living room, so I hear it in the kitchen. I'm sure this incense smells really nice. I can't smell anything. I haven't been able to smell anything for months. It's not COVID. It's I have allergies. So I've just had a blocked nose for like months, and I haven't been able to go in to see a doctor about it because COVID. So yeah, it's been a fun time. That's also why I sound really nasal. Like, I know that when I watch my videos back and so on, I sound really like bunged up. It's because my nose is permanently blocked from allergies. That's what's going on. So I'm hoping to be able to see a doctor and just move doctors. So I need to see one for my repeat prescription anyway. So hopefully then I'll be able to. This smoke is just blowing on my face. But I guess it's Cray the lad's will, so I can't do anything about it. We've got probably 5 minutes. So I will be reading from I'm also estimating that this live stream is probably going to be maybe another hour or so. We'll see how we go. If you want to know more stuff, see more stuff, hear more stuff, then I can keep it going as long as you want. So I highly recommend this translation, The Mabinogion. It's by Shauna Davis, who teaches at the university I went to. I actually never had any class with her. I think she works in the Welsh department. And I can speak a tiny bit of Cymraeg, but not a massive amount. But there's some things in this about Gwyn, so we will be looking at those. We'll talk a little bit about archaeological stuff connected with Gwyn Cenonus. Yeah, whatever you want to hear about, we could talk about a little bit about what happened in the winter during the Iron Age. The thing is about the Iron Age is that you don't have it's like a lot of stuff to do with once you get pretty into like scholarship with any time period is that there's contention about like what happened, right? So you'll have some people feel when I see people say like, oh, this is how things were, this is how like how you can characterize it. I'm like, well, like it's a theory, it could be right, it could be wrong, it could, you know, a lot of the stuff we're never probably going to have definitive answers about. There's just like things that you can't get from material objects, and you can't get from written sources. You need to ideally be able to go back in time and talk to people from the Iron Age, which would be like my ultimate dream. So yeah, so we'll be reading a little bit of stuff from the Mabinogion. He features as Gwyn in where is it? Culhwch ac Olwen, also known as How Culhwch won Olwen. So we'll get to him there. But there's also this this character. Oh, there he is. Gwyn, son of Nudd. Gwyn ap Nudd. Ap means son of. Or sometimes it's map, sometimes it's fab. But yeah, it's son of. That's what it means. And Gwyn means white. So he turns up in How Culhwch won Olwen. He turns up in something called the Calan Gaeaf, which means Battle of the Gods, which I haven't actually read. I would like to read at some point, but so I can talk a little bit about that. And he also seems to appear in the very first branch of the Mabinogion, right at the start, actually, with the main character, Gwyn. He's called Arawn there. Arawn, try and work out how exactly to pronounce it. But he, I think, you can make a fairly good argument for him being Gwyn, or like mythology is really complex and really weird. The easiest way of describing it is that like some people say, oh, it's just like the written oral tradition. It's not. It's like there's the oral tradition which goes through so many different permutations for so many thousands of years, and then it's like the written version is like, you know, someone heard the oral tradition and then decided to like incorporate it with some Christianity, with some other like references to written work, written like stories. So the written mythology is not like, it's not just transcribing oral tradition, which is a mistake a lot of people make. It's complex, basically. You've got some stories that go way back. They get, you know, so the second branch of the Mabinogion is Branwen Llŷr, which means Branwen, son of Llŷr. No, daughter of Llŷr, sorry. Branwen is a woman. And that has some parts of that seem to be a reference to stuff that's from the Neolithic. So that's really, really old. Not the whole tale. And again, with an oral tradition, you would have had different people passing it on. They would have had different, like, added different twists to it, added different information. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, I think it's super interesting. It's also why, like, there's no original version of the myth. There just isn't. It's sort of like, oh, there's a beep. It's my stew is ready. But yeah, there's no original versions of myths. If you see people saying that, like, oh, well, the original version says, no. There is no original version of the myth. You can have like the earliest written recording that we have, because there might be older written recordings that we haven't found yet. But that's not the like original myth, like particularly from oral traditions. They weren't meant to be these like fixed things. That's probably why teaching in Druidry was done through an oral tradition, because it's not a fixed thing. It has to be. It needs to be put into context. It needs to serve certain purposes. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, I think it's very interesting. So I'm literally be a minute. I'm just going to run and get some delicious beef stew. I would take it. I would bring it with me, but I don't want to try and balance my laptop and my food. So I'll be back in a minute. Right, I'm just going to grab a drink as well. So, sorry, one moment. So, I've got a plate here for the ancestors, which is a very common thing to do. You have a plate left out for them to come and join in with the feast. A lot of later traditions are about staying away from spirits and stuff, but actually, there's in the pre-Christian culture, there's this belief that that it's not hell that these spirits are coming from, and it's just about showing respect to the people who've gone before. I personally have who have I got waiting for me in the world? Well, my father. My father died. God, it's nearly 10 years ago. So hopefully he'll come and his spirit will join in the feast. So this feasting was very popular, and so this time of year there would have been the end of the harvest season, and they would have brought their cattle in and their sheep, livestock, and yeah, basically. Sorry, I just want to eat this, but I also want to say. Just try to calculate something. They would have had to slaughter a load because they would know that some of them they wouldn't be able to feed for the winter, because they would have gathered all the grain, and the majority of their diets, like the humans' diets, were grain based. So it was bread and things like I've got pearl barley that I've cooked into into the stew, and so they would have eaten that. And obviously, they need to feed the cattle something when they're giving the grasslands a rest, and so they had to make sure that they had enough to feed everyone. So they would have killed a lot of cattle, and then they would have had a big feast. So yeah, good all round. So I'm gonna eat some of this. So this has been slow cooked for 7 hours, I think. Yeah, 7 hours. Oh wow, so good. Oh, so meaty. I have to say, I'm a little bit suspicious. I sent my partner down to get meat from our local butcher, and he said he got braising steak. It looks a lot like pork to me, which is fine. I mean, there's no... I'm happy to eat pork. There's no prohibition against eating pork in Druidry. The only thing you shouldn't eat, or I mean, you could eat it, I guess, but just don't eat it for like religious feasts, is hare, like as in HARE, not HAIR. You shouldn't really eat that type of hare anyway, but hares it's good evidence that they were sacred. So yeah, don't eat them. Well, I think it is braising steak. It just looked very pale. I'm sorry. I'm going to send a message to my partner who's upstairs, who doesn't want to disturb, but also just let him know that he can come down and get some food if he wants. So I wanted to make this stew as close to any stuff as possible, really, with stuff that's still easily available. The carrots, they would have had turnip and like we think like an early form of parsnip, but yeah, other than that, there's also some. Well, pearl barley is also pretty authentic. Bay leaves, not so much, but I wanted both stew to taste good. What can I say? I mean, it's just so good. There's also garlic, onions, beef stock. Oh, a Welsh beer. I don't drink because health-wise I can't. Like, if I have one beer, I'll have a 3-day hangover and be really, really sick. So it's not fun. But also this time of year, feel free to get pissed. Irish Britain certainly would have. Send a message to my partner. There we go. Yeah, so getting blind drunk would definitely be very very on brand for the ancient Britons. Just I personally can't do it, unfortunately. Also, if you want to ask me any questions, anything like that, then feel free. I'm just going to eat this and then I'll get on with telling some tales. I love having long hair, but it also just gets in my mouth when I eat. So that's not fun. I can hear people outside setting off fireworks. They've been setting them off every night for ages now, for weeks. I don't know why. And also, it just like, those people have dogs around here and it really frightens them. And I'm not a fan of making dogs scared. So yeah, fireworks look cool. But also like just the stuff, well, maybe it's different elsewhere, but in the UK, you can't get that good fireworks to use in your own garden. So they're always just like really shit little fireworks. And it's like, why? Well, it's because like usually like the council or whatever will put on a fireworks show. But obviously with COVID and everything, that isn't really happening. But I've got a big piece of bay leaf in my stew. So obviously not going to eat that. This is so weird though. Yeah, I used a Welsh ale. Yeah, a Welsh ale from, I think it's Conway. Also, I'm trying not to like chew loudly and stuff. I know that like some people who watch like mukbangs really like that, like as an ASMR thing. No, I find it really gross. So I'm trying not to. And also I would play some music, but I also want this to go up afterwards. Like I want it to be available for people to watch. And a lot of the music that I would play would be copyrighted. So I don't know, maybe every now and then we'll have a live session that I won't keep up and will be like I can put because you're allowed to like, oh, I don't know, I used to stream on Twitch a lot and it was, you could play whatever music you wanted but it would mute the audio if you did it was fine as long as it was live, but then once after the live thing had finished, if you then had the recording online, it would mute it if you had copyrighted music. And obviously I don't want this video to be muted. So I don't know how YouTube deals with stuff, but also don't really want another thing profiting off my work just because I played a little bit of a song. I mean, I get it, but I think this must be beef. It's really, whatever it is, it's really good. If you can, then I highly recommend like if you have a local butcher, get your meat from there because it's just much better quality for the price you pay. Obviously, like work within your own means. And I know that not everyone has like access to like decent butchers around them and stuff like that. But if you can get it from a butcher as well, I like being able to support a local business, and they have like really good deals on. They've got like packs of bacon and stuff that they'll sell for like 2 for £5, and it's really good. Like it's like one pack will have like 8 thick rashers of bacon, and they're really good and they taste really good. And the thing they don't do is they don't pump stuff full of water. So like I made a pork stir fry last night, and I used pork tenderloin. And obviously, have your pan at a really high heat, and I put it in. And usually, if you buy stuff you've bought from the supermarket, immediately all the water that they inject into it will like run out and it will start to boil. But because they don't inject water into their tenderloin, it was just like it was perfect. It was so good. It was really, really nice. I probably overcooked it a little bit. It was a little bit dry, but that's my fault for not like putting the other stuff in sooner. I've just got quite a lot of meat in my bowl. I might set it aside in a second, and then fish it a little bit later. It's really tasty though. I highly recommend it. I've got the recipe on my website. If you look at my Calan Gaeaf announcement video, there's a link to it there. This is really nice. And the other thing about if you go to a butcher as well is that you can get the exact amount you need. Usually, like, because it's just me and my partner who live in our house, and for 2 people, we don't eat tons of meat anyway. Like, we try to cut down on meat, and so it's nice to be able to just pick up just what we need, and not have to have a load of food that we can't eat, or that it's a struggle for us to eat. Yeah. So this last bit, and then I'll get on with telling some stories about Gwyn. Okay, let's talk Gwyn. So we'll start with one of the main stories that he's involved in, which is how Calan won Olwen. What we need to know about it, to give some context, is Calan wants to win the hand of Fair Olwen. It's sort of like they're kind of look like they were related to some deities in like older tales. So he has to do a load of things for her father, Ysbadden, who is a giant and doesn't want to hand over his daughter that easily, I guess. So he sets Culhwch a load of tasks that he has to complete, like seemingly impossible tasks. Also, King Arthur's in this, as he crops up in a lot of stuff. King Arthur is, of course, a later legend of the Iron Age. King Arthur, not around for the Iron Age, he's like 4th century, so like Saxon times. 4th, 5th century. Not interested. As soon as the Romans turn up for me, I'm like, no, thank you. Not interested. Okay, so they're trying to hunt this pig. Incense blowing on my face again. So one of the things that Ysbadden has asked Culhwch to do is to what does he want to do? He wants him to get the bristles from, is it the bristles? Okay, they're talking about a lot of stuff to do with Arthur. Lots of stuff to do with Arthur, actually. Just trying to give a bit of context. Oh, here we go. There's a bit about Gwyn, actually. Yeah, so they have to try and basically defeat this giant boar called I'm just trying to find this bit where he gives him the quest to do with it. The thing is with the Mabinogion and a lot of other Welsh myths is it just goes off on a tangent a lot of the time. It usually does pull together by the end, but yeah, so they're trying to okay. Yeah, so there's a boar called no, that's too far. Oh my God. Where is it? Oh, Turk Tweed.